Hi, my name is Deborah Okoro David. You're welcome to this presentation. This presentation is I'm doing this presentation to show you the excuse me the result of the analysis I carried out, the end-to-end revenue and customer behavior analysis for retail growth of optimization I did for a business we would call retail store. So this report is in the Python environment, and it is non-technical user friendly. So feel free to check the link I'll be providing in the description of this video to go through it and get in-depth uh, insights and recommendation from the result of the analysis I did. And I created a three-page dashboard for this analysis to further communicate the insights and recommendation for this business. So this business is a UK based retail store business, excuse me. So to begin analysis, I imported the data into Python environment and the original number of rows or transaction in this data in the provided data set was 1,667,371 rows and 9 columns. It's actually 8 columns, but I created an extra column to join the data set from multiple sheets. So I carried out I before carrying out data cleaning, I looked at the uh, data set structure, the data types, and the features within each feature of the data set. And then after carrying out data cleaning, I am left with 805,000 rows, 805 thousand rows and 10 columns, one additional column. 261,822 rows were removed because those rows represented cancelled orders, and we don't need that for analysis. And the removed rows constituted 24.5% of the overall data set, which means the remaining 805,000 rows are okay to give accurate insights for after carrying out analysis. The extra column I created was the price column. It was the total sales column rather. I multiplied the price and quantity column to give me the total sales so that I know the actual revenue gotten from each transactions. So after data cleaning, I carried out post wrangling or post cleaning and data health check to see to check the integrity of the data itself. So in this area, I checked for null values in each of the columns. We have 521 null values left in the country column, which I did intentionally because the data itself will I would carry out predictive modeling on the data, and country is one of the features that will be part of the modeling, and I didn't want unspecified to be part of the categories, right? So I just left it null for for that particular reason. And then I carried out descriptive statistics to see to the descriptive statistic on the three numerical columns: price, quantity, and total sales, to see the distribution. We have 805,549 transactions. The average price of the products sold in this business is 1.9, approximately £2. The highest at £10,953, and the lowest price is 0.001 pounds, which is next to nothing. So I'm using the median as the measure of central tendency because we can see the outliers, like this. The numerical columns have outliers, and the best measure of central tendency in this case is the median. So the median I'm using as the average. So the average quantity is the average quantity of product bought in this business is five. The highest being 80,995 units, and the lowest being one. So the highest quantity simply shows that there is a presence of bulk buyers within the business. And then the average revenue is 11.8, the highest being £168,000, and the lowest being point zero zero 0.001. So the time period for this data set is from 2009 December 1st to 2011 December 9th, making this data set have a time frame of 738 days. So let's just say this is a 2-year period data set. Then the number of customers we have are 5,878, and we have um, 1,623 one time buyers, which make up 27.6% of the total customers. So the average transaction by customers is three. That's the average customer buys up to three times, and the highest number of time customers buy is 398 times, and the lowest is one. So I carried out a data health check in my financial column, that's the price column, to validate the data, and it returned true. Next, I have distribution. I have distribution of the quantity, price, and revenue columns, which are my numerical columns. And the quantity, for quantity, the distribution shows that most customers purchase from 1 to 2 units, right? That's when compared to bulk buyers. These are bulk buyers. They are not much compared to customers that buy from 1 to 10 units. So this means that volume is driven by single item or small basket items. And then the price, most prices fall between £1, £10 to £100. Few are above £1,000. So this simply shows us that this business deals on low to mid priced products. Like they sell mostly low price and or medium price products. Then for the revenue, most customers uh, buy between um, 1,000 and above pounds, most customers, and this simply most revenue comes from mid value transactions and not from bulk or extreme items. These are extreme, and most transactions don't fall on the extreme. So I created an additional distribution, which is a box plot for the three numerical columns. Mind you, this is a on a log scale because the data set is vast, and I wanted to show the full picture of all of the distributions instead of capping it. So I felt logarithm would have been the best way to show the full picture. Now, I went ahead to look at the sales trend, that's the revenue trend by month. We this is this data set spans 2 years. So we have up to 24 months in this visualization. And we see that in 2010, we had just one severe dip compared to 2011 that experienced dip in February and April. Another unusual phenomenon here is that the we have spikes, you know, at the last quarter of each year, and I had to carry out a diagnostic analysis to understand why these spikes occurred, right? What played out differently compared to other months that contributed to these spikes in both years around the same time. So I went into the diagnostic analysis with three hypotheses. One being that new high spenders came on board during the peak months. We'll call these areas where the the revenue experience spike. We'll call these areas the peak months, and we'll call these other areas, like these areas, we'll call them the average months, and then these areas are the low months. But we'll focus on the peak month because we want to understand what happened here. Now, the first hypothesis is that the new high spenders came on board during peak months. The second hypothesis is that the product-led growth, like more new season team products, were bought in large quantities. And the last hypothesis is that a successful marketing blitz which translates to large percentage of new customers, or successful upsell, cross-sell, or retention campaigns, which translates to large percentage of existing customers. Then, to further explain this revenue trend, in November 2010, we saw the highest um, revenue in a month at 1.1 million pounds, and the lowest in 2011 of February at 447,000 pounds. Now, this is a tabular breakdown of all the transactions per month, all of the revenue per month, rather. So, going into the first hypothesis, we found out that we got four new customers in the peak months when compared to average and low months. There were new high spenders in the four new high spenders in the peak months. This is a chart that shows how consistently these customers purchased. That is, these are all high spenders. This shows how consistently they've purchased both in peak, average, and low months. And we see that this customer 18102 is our best customer so far, and this customer is consistent even though in the low months he this customer did not purchase much, followed by this customer. A handful of the high spenders are consistent, while some only show up in some particular months and then they don't show up in the rest months. So, looking at when I compared the the revenue the new customers brought in, that's the four new high spenders, when I compared the revenue they brought in with the revenue the customers they replaced brought in, I saw just a little difference of £27,000. So this indicates that the peak months was not due to high spenders, because that's it was not due to new high spenders on board, because £27,000 is too low to influence that level of peak in the revenue trend. So I further looked into our high spenders and what how do they purchase, in this business. So this is the revenue chart of some select high spenders. This is our most consistent and highest in the list, and he spent over £200,000 in the peak months, right? Then this is a quantity. So this the aim of this comparison is to see um do they to see if the high spenders, if they're wholesalers or just big spenders that buy only high priced products. So this comparison shows that most of the high spenders are wholesalers. They buy low price products and they buy in bulk. So because of the volume of their purchase, it translates to high revenue. And then, yes, there are some within them that might be buying them, that might not be buying in large quantity. Customer like 14096, 14096 spent above £50,000, but his his order volume, that is a quantity ordered, is less than 20,000. So some of them might be going for high price product, but most of the high spenders are wholesalers. High spenders come from the demographic of the high spenders are mostly um, the United Kingdom, followed by Ireland and Australia, Netherlands. Then these are the products they purchase more. These are the top products that they purchase in the peak months. So this can help us see or understand the high spenders or our wholesalers, what they prefer to buy from this business. So this is like it's an insight. High spenders are bulk buyers, mostly from the UK. They mostly buy home decor, storage, kitchen, dining, giftware, decorative items. They purchase low to mid price products, with very few exceptions that buy high price products that cost from £2,000 and above. This indicates that high spenders are wholesalers. So that's that for hypothesis one. Even though hypothesis one is not a large contributing factor to why we had, uh, peak or spikes in our revenue in the last quarters of both years, we, gained some knowledge on their buying patterns and what kind of customers they are. So for hypothesis two is it states that there was product led growth, like more new season themed products were bought and in large quantities. Excuse me. So want to see if that is true, if more like new season themed product came on board and if they were bought in large quantity. So we can see that there were new top there were new products that surfaced in the peak months that were not in the average months. So we see that Chili Light, Paper Chain Kit, 50s Christmas, Paper Chain Kit, Vintage Christmas, Rotating Silver Angels, Tea Light, HLDR. These products, you know, came on board in the peak months, and they were some of the most bought products. If you check the top products in peak months, some of these products that, like the new products, are part of the high performing products. So this is a comparison of the top products in the peak, the average, and the low months. And then um, I carried out analysis on the sales volume in the average month, and I compared it with the peak month, and the purchase volume increased. Excuse me. The purchase volume increased by 35% when compared to, excuse me, purchase volume increased by 42% when compared to the mid months, right? The peak months had a 42% increase in volumes. That is really high, the considering the spike in our revenue trend. So this means that yes, uh, most of these products, the products, the revenue increase or the revenue spike was product led, and most of these products, of course, they are mid to low price products, and that's where volume comes in. The higher the volume of the purchase, the higher the revenue. And since we could see the percentage increase of 42% in volume, right? When you compare it to average months, it is safe to say that it was product led and then volume led, right? The spike was product and volume led. So the insight for this is there were new top products in the peak months when compared to mid months, and these new products are mainly Christmas themed, but they are not high priced. What influenced the peak in the various months was purchase volume. There is 42%, right? This is an error. There's 42% volume increase in the peak months that was influenced by seasonal product purchase. The large volume then translates to high revenue. So this is the most reasonable explanation as to why um, sales increase in the peak months, which are seasonality, products led, and volume. Then for hypothesis three, which is um, successful marketing blitz or retention campaign, I carried out a um, classification of existing and new customers to see what what percentage, like how much revenue they contributed in the peak months. So existing customers contributed 58% of the revenue, while new customer contributed 42%, to the overall revenue, which is astonishing because you would expect existing customers to give double of what the new customers are, but the difference is just 8%, right? So the margin is really, really close. So this suggests that even though any form of retention campaign was carried out, marketing blitz actually did well, like really, really well compared to retention campaign, because it brought in, like, the new customers brought in a large share of the revenue. So this means like a very, very successful marketing blitz um, happened. And so in the peak month, 58% of purchase came from existing customers, while 42 came from new customers. So the summary for this is the peak months were product driven. The most bought products are Christmas and party products. Seasonal factor like also played a role in the spike, as most people only buy Christmas products around the last quarter. Interestingly, prices for these products are low to mid, but the volume of purchase was high. This indicates the presence of wholesale buyers and high new customer purchase volume. So, yes, our three hypotheses were correct to some degree, but the most contributing factor was hypothesis 2, that says the spike was as a result of the product, seasonality, and purchase volume. So the recommendation after the findings is that the success should be replicated by planning inventory for seasonal products earlier, invest in targeted account-based marketing campaigns to acquire similar B2B clients like customer 18102, which is like our highest high spender in the peak months, who are wholesale buyers and consistent. We saw how consistent customer 18102 is. Run similar promotional campaign during the next key holiday period with better modifications done to attract more new buyers and retain existing ones. So the next phase is understanding customer revenue volume spread. I implemented the Pareto rule, and I displayed or visualized it in the Lawrence curve. So 20% of our customers generate 73.3% of revenue. This is more than three quarters of the total revenue, and that is amazing. And at the same time, it is scary because most, just if a minority of the customers generate most of the revenue. So it is amazing because we can focus on these customers, groom them, and do our best to retain them. But it is scary because, on the other hand, because these customers, if you lose one, it drastically affects the overall revenue because most of the revenue are coming from just this, few group of customers, 20% of customers. So the customer sales concentration is not balanced because it doesn't follow this uh, perfect equality line. Furthermore, to see the where most of the transactions come from, where most customers are from, we check the top 20 countries by transaction volume to see that the United Kingdom uh, is the highest. Like most of the transactions are from the United Kingdom. Rightly so, because it's a UK business, it's a UK based business, followed by Germany, Ireland, France, and so on. So, the recommendation for this is to focus on top customers by offering special deals with the aim of retention and growth. To de-risk the business, because I mentioned earlier it is also risky to have just that few number of customers controlling or contributing that high amount of revenue as against the rest group of customers. So to de-risk the business, implement strategies to increase revenue from the bottom 80% of customers. Moving on, I checked product affinity. I carried out product affinity analysis to see which products go, like which products are um, most likely bought after one is bought. So I used um, um, this table to show how these products relate to each other, how customers buy these products. And if a customer buy the Roses Regency teacup and saucer, they are most likely going to buy the Green Regency teacup and saucer. If they buy Green Regency teacup and saucer, they are mostly going to buy Roses Regency and so on. So if they buy a particular product here, they are most likely to buy it the other way. So what does this tell us? This informs us on what to do with product placements, marketing, and so on. So this is a visualization to show which products go with each other. Like some work three-way, some work two-way. Like this product, if customers buy lunch bag space boy design, they're most likely to buy this other two. If they buy this, they're most likely to buy this, and so on. So you can go through the report to get like an in-depth analysis of, most of these. My mouse is messing up. You can go through this to um, get in-depth analysis of this, but I'll just go straight to the recommendation and expected benefits. So the recommendation is bundling strategy. Start a bundling strategy by offering teacup and saucer sets, combining Roses Regency and Green Regency. Bundle pricing could increase cart value and reduce decision friction. So instead of now that we know that if a customer buys A, they are most likely to buy B, instead of just having those products as standalone product, we could just bundle them, put them into a bundle, and um, it will actually reduce decision friction because a customer will not start thinking, okay, should I buy this? Should I drop this and buy this and all of that? They know that if they buy a set, they're getting two of them, and we already know that these two products or even three products go together, and also it increases revenue. In fact, it's one of the best ways to increase revenue. The second recommendation is cross selling promotion. In the case where a customer buys one ceramic trinket box, recommend the other variant at checkout. For example, you say complete your collection. Same for wooden frames, promote a mix and match bundle. So this especially works with low price products because it's easier for customers to just bring out the money and buy. It increases revenue for the business, and it also makes the customer feel happy because they feel like you have them in mind, you care about their buying experience, you want them to get, the complete package and so on. So it increases trust and love for the business while also increasing revenue. So this is like a win-win. Then marketing campaigns highlight these popular pairs in promotional materials like loyalty offers or email campaigns. For example, buy the Roses Regency set, get 20% off Green Regency. So buying one product, right, should lead to a discount in the other product. And especially when the products are affiliated, like when most customers get to buy this product if they buy this product. So it is efficient when marketing campaigns are about things like this. And then lastly, the store layout and website user experience. Place these associated items close together in stores or recommend them online. For example, customers also bought, that is after you click on a particular product. Then the expected benefit is that higher you get the business will get higher average order value from bundles, increased cross-sell rates through smart recommendations, and improved customer experience by making buying decisions easier. So The next phase is the customer level aggregation. That's the RFM analysis. RFM simply means recency, frequency, and monetary. Recency shows us the number of days since customers last purchased, and frequency shows us the number of times they purchase, and then monetary shows us the amount they spent. So this is a distribution of RFM, and you see that for frequency, most customers purchase recently, right? Most customers purchase recently, but other customers too did not have not purchased in a long time. Imagine for 400 days we have up to 200 customers that have not purchased, and so on. And customers that have not purchased from 100 days and above are most likely inactive, churned, or inconsistent buyers. Then the frequency distribution shows that customers spend up to they buy up to 8 times. Most customers buy up to 1 to 8 times, and the rest buy above that. And then for how much customers spend, most customers spend a maximum of £4,000, and the rest spend higher. And the rest that spend higher than that are actually low. They are not much compared to the ones who spend maximum £4,000 rather. So the summary for that is most customers are new or recent buyers, but not very well because they buy less frequently. A handful of customers are frequent and high spenders. They generate most of the revenue. So I carried out segmentation with the RFM data I created, and I segmented the customers into 8 different tiers. 8 different tiers. So we have the at risk, the big spenders, the champions, the lost, the loyal customers, the need attention, the new customers, the potential loyalists. Potential loyalists buy frequently, but they bought fairly recently, and they spent like you know, averagely. New customers bought just once. Of course, they just came on board, so they bought just once and recently. Then, need attention does not even fall into any of these other 7 categories, so that's why they need attention. And then for loyal customers, they buy frequently, they bought recently, and they spend averagely. For lost customers, these customers, their spend is very, very low. It's been long since they bought, and they don't even buy frequently. For champions are our best customers. They bought very recently. They spend, high. They have high spend, and they buy very frequently, so they are consistent. Then for big spenders don't necessarily they didn't necessarily buy frequently and recently, but they spend, huge amount of money when they buy. And then the at-risk customers are customers that it's been long they purchase, and they spend good amount of money, but it's been long that they purchase, and they buy fairly frequently, like they are inconsistent anyways. So this chart shows the average recency, that is the average time that the last each segment last purchase. And we see that the lost customers has the highest average recency, followed by at risk and need attention, lastly big spenders. So the average frequency by tier, the number of times they buy. Champions, of course, they are our best customers. They buy very frequently, followed by the big spenders, and then loyal customers, and then at-risk customers. So at-risk customers need some attention actually because they are doing well, yeah, as regards frequency. The average monetary value by tier, big spenders spend more because of course, and then the champions, followed by loyal customers and at risk. The actual revenue generated by each tier is for champions. Champion is the highest, 10 million pounds, followed by loyal customers, and then potential loyalists, and then at risk customers. It's surprising that big spenders have just 400k pounds to their name, and the reason is that big spenders are just 17 in numbers, right? Based on this segmentation. Then champions are 804, and loyal customers are 396. When you compare these valuable customer profiles to the declining customer funnel, my mouse is misbehaving. When you compare these two group of tiers, you see that lost customers are more, and the the at-risk customers are actually competing with champions, and need attention are way more than champions. Like if you put them together, you see that the VIP versus decline. VIP, you know, which constitute which are champions, big spenders, and loyal customers are actually just 21% of our customers, while the decline group are 57.6%. This is giving a high churn threat or high churn risk. So you can go through this to get an in-depth for insight and recommendation for uh, the RFM segment. But the summary is that our customer base has two sides. On the strong side, we have valuable groups like champions, big spenders, and loyal customers. Mind you, new customers and potential loyalists were not part or are not part of these uh, the valuable and declining customer profile, because we cannot, say for sure if potential loyalists will decline or increase, and we cannot say for sure if the new customers will continue buying, so we cannot actually really place them anywhere except just outside of these two comparison. So back to the summary, our customer base has two sides. On the strong side, we have valuable groups like champions, big spenders, and loyal customers. On the weak side, some customers are slipping away, moving from need attention to at risk and finally loss. Our job is to keep customers from sliding down the decline funnel while growing the pool of champions and big spenders. Wouldn't that be amazing for this business? Then I carried out customer retention analysis to see how customers are retained quarterly. These are the quarters in the years, that's within the 2 years. These are the number of quarters we have, and the blue signifies the first month of a particular quarter, and the orange signifies the last month of a particular quarter. So the retention rates shows in this first quarter shows that there was 35% average retention rate, but by the end of the this particular quarter it went up. More customers were retained, and then in this quarter retention fell retention rate fell to 22, and then it increased by the third month of this quarter, and so on. So, but an amazing thing is that in 2011, the retention rate increased, compared to the previous, especially this quarter. It increased, it fell in this quarter, but it steadily regained, uh, it steadily grew in the other quarters, like the most quarters in 2011. So, whatever strategy was carried out here to recover retention and potentially increase it should be looked into. So, these are the key observations. You can go through it to get in depth insights of it. But the summary is that this data shows a temporary retention problem in early 2010, followed by a steady recovery in 2011. Month 1 retention is now at its highest since late 2009, which is excellent. Focus now should be on closing the gap between month 1 and month 3 retention, ensuring users continue engaging after the first month to drive higher lifetime value. So, in this segment, I looked into the average order value by country, but the overall average order value is £480, and the country with the highest average order value is Netherlands, followed by Singapore, Australia, and so on. So you can go through this to get in-depth insights of um, the average order value. The aim for this is to see which country is generating um, the highest average order value, to know where to focus what marketing campaigns. So this is the last segment of this presentation. I didn't want this to be too lengthy. So after this segment, we'll go to visualization. So this last segment is predicting customer churn and value and providing roadmap for customer retention and revenue growth. So I carried out a predictive analysis to see which customers are most likely to be churned, or which churn means lost, and who are the active customers. And then I trained a predictive model to using features like monetary, frequency, recency, tenure, customer value to determine uh, the probability of a customer staying or leaving the business. I also created segments to identify which customer falls under high risk, low risk, medium risk. I also differentiated the value segments of um, each customer using quantiles to differentiate the VIP from the high spending customers to the medium spending customers to the low spending customers, and see which of the value segment falls under the strategic segment. So first, the overall churn rate is 49.3%, which is really high. The churned customers are 2,899, and the active customers are 2,978. Like almost half of the customers are, you know, churned. This is a risk. The business rule for churn actually is that any customer who haven't purchased in 100 days, like in the last 100 days, if a customer have not purchased, that customer is considered churned. So the business rule can be changed depending on the business, right? So, but for this business, it is 100 days. A customer who hasn't purchased in the last 100 days is churned. And then I prepared the data for machine learning. I split my data into train and test, and then I trained the model to predict which customer was likely to churn and to give me the probability of churn per customer. After that, I carried out cross validation to see if my prediction was accurate or not. And then I segmented. I got top, like, high customers, I think. Let me see. Okay. So for the strategic segment, like I mentioned earlier on, I grouped each customers based on their churn probability. Based on the probability of churn, I grouped them um, into different segments. I called it strategic segment. But first, the I looked for the high risk customers, that is, the customers who spend above £1,000 and have high probability of churn, high churn probability, and spend above £1,000. These customers fall under the high risk customer list. And in this list, we have 808 customers out of the 2,000 plus churned customers. So I highlighted their churn probability, the amount they've spent, and the country. So we see that based on the top uh, customers we are seeing on this list, we see that most of them come from the United Kingdom. And then I created a strategic segment where I divided the customers into high risk, medium risk, and low risk. For high risk means your churn probability is very high. Medium risk means it is not too high. And for low risk, it means it is actually low. So the value segment shows that the cost simply gives us the kind of value the customer brings to the business, right? The revenue they bring. So for VIP, super high revenue; for high, less than super high; and for medium, average, low, low. So each value segment falls under a strategic segment to help the business identify the number of VIP customers that are under high risk, the number of high value customers that are under high risk, the number of medium customers that are under high risk, and so on. So attention needs to be paid to this area where top customers are, you know, fall under high risk. And then I calculated the predictive customer lifetime value. That is, how much is this based on this customer's current revenue contribution to this business and their buying pattern. How much are they likely to bring in the future? I capped it at 20 in the next 24 months, which is 2 years. And with I factored in discounts, that is discounts that the business would have given to them, how much after discounts, given their previous buying pattern, how much are they likely to bring to the business. So, um, excuse me. So these are the top 10 customers that are likely to bring in, a lot of money into the business, and this is their country. Most of them also from the United Kingdom. So this visualization further helps us see the value segment. The This is average churn probability by customer value segment. We see that low customers have higher churn probability as against VIP, and for the strategic segment, high risk customers make up 90%, 40% of the overall churn customers when we compare to medium and low risk. And then the high risk customers by country, most of them come from the United Kingdom, followed by Germany. And then this is a scatter plot showing um, the predictive customer lifetime value. That is the future revenue the customers are likely to bring in and their current revenue. So this shows I would talk more about this in the visualization aspect, like the dashboard when I'm presenting the dashboard. And that's all for this segment. So excuse me, um the overall summary and recommendation for this business goes like this. The objective is that the goal of this analysis was to understand customer behavior, revenue drivers, and sales trend for a retail store, diagnose the causes of major fluctuations, and recommend strategies to improve revenue, retention, and customer lifetime value. So, these are some of the key insights that you need to take home. In the aspect of customer behavior and segmentation, 5,878 unique customers shopped over the 2-year period. 27.6% of customers are one-time buyers, a significant churn risk, which we've seen. Repeat customers generate the bulk of revenue, indicating that loyalty and retention are key revenue drivers. In the aspect of sales and revenue distribution, most customers are small basket transactions, meaning sales are driven by high frequency of small orders, not bulk buys. Price distribution skews toward mid-range with only a few high price outliers. Revenue is concentrated among top spending customers, meaning a small percentage of customers are disproportionately valuable, just like we saw in the customer, you know, the Lawrence curve. In the aspect of seasonality and trends, revenue consistently spikes in quarter four, peaking in November 2010 at 1.1 million pounds. That's a lot of money. Then February consistently underperforms, indicating a potential demand slump after holiday seasons. 2010 outperformed 2011 overall, suggesting slowing growth or weaker campaign execution in the second year. So, in the aspect of revenue drivers, which are carried out diagnostic analysis to see that new customers contributed only marginally to peak revenue months, meaning growth was driven mainly by existing customers spending more. Product led growth and upsell cross sell campaigns likely contributed to peak months. This is a positive sign of healthy retention and marketing return on investment. There is opportunity to expand acquisition efforts as dependence on repeat spenders is high. So the business implication is that this retail store's growth is powered by loyal repeat customers who increase spending during key seasons, especially November. However, excuse me. However, one-time buyers churn and seasonality dips, notably in February, are limiting steady revenue growth. The business could unlock significant value by improving customer retention of first-time buyers, launching campaign outside peak months or smooth revenue seasonality. And lastly, leveraging insights about high value customers and products to drive more targeted campaign. Um, there are data. I've created tables on action priority by strategic segment and value segments of churn customers. I've created a table for high spenders to for us to for the marketing team to be able to identify high spenders and the necessary steps to take to target them and continue retaining these customers among other tables. When you check the folder in the link, you will see all of the necessary tables available. So, lastly, actionable, well, not lastly, but actionable recommendation is that for revenue growth, diversified campaigns, launch mid-year promotions like Valentine back to school to combat February and quarter two dips. Stock and market products heavily leading to quarter four since it's the highest performing quarter. So, two, retention campaign, target one-time buyers, create automated follow-up emails or discount offers for first-time customers, to encourage a second purchase. Launch loyalty program by rewarding repeat buyers with tiered benefits like free shipping, early access to increase frequency and average order value. Three, high value customer focus. Identify the top 20% of customers, that's the VIPs, and offer exclusive offers or personalized recommendation to maintain and grow their spend. Simply make them feel special. Curate marketing campaigns or offers that best suits this group of customers because they are our champions. Like they are our revenue drivers. So number four, product strategy. Double down on bestsellers by promoting the top 10, 20, 50 revenue generating products more aggressively. Depends on the top number of top products the business wants to promote, based on their outlook and the marketing budgets. And then introduce bundling offers or curated seasonal packages to increase basket size. Lastly, ongoing measurements. Monitor cohort retention rate quarterly to measure if retention strategies are working. From the quarterly retention um, charts, we can see that retention rates, after the 2010 last quarter dip, the following quarters had higher retention rates, like consistently growing retention rates. So whatever was being done in that regard to facilitate that should be improved and implemented. And then it should be monitored to see how effective it is. Then the overall summary of this uh, insights is that this retail store is powered by loyal repeat buyers with peak performance in quarter four. However, over a quarter of customers churn after their first purchase, and February represents a consistent slump. By improving first time buyer retention, incentivizing repeat purchase behavior, and strategically planning campaigns outside peak season, the business can unlock steady, predictable growth while maximizing the lifetime value of its most profitable customers. So that's that for the in depth insight or report of this analysis. Now let's go to the fun part, which is visualization, where most of the key insights were visualized and you can see this analysis from another angle. So this is refreshing. This is our dashboard. It's a Tableau dashboard. And this dashboard was created with users in mind, from the color to alignment to positioning. It was created with you, the viewer or the user, in mind. So this first page is a three-page dashboard. This first page is about customer revenue and product performance overview, simply showing where the business is at right now. So we see the number of customers, number of products, 5,241 products. The total revenue generated in the last 2 years was 18 million pounds. The percentage of revenue by top customers is 77%. The average retention rate, overall average retention rate, is 24.7%, which is low compared to a healthy average retention rate of up to 35%. And then the average order value is 480 pounds. We see the year over year revenue. In 2010, the business um, saw revenue of 8.3, excuse me, 8.3, and in 2011, 8.7. Then this, we are familiar with this by now. The spike in revenue. This is the revenue by month. The highest revenue was in November 2010, 1.1 million pounds. The lowest, 2011 February, 447,000 pounds. This is a retention rate seen from another perspective. This month, this the x-axis shows the acquisition period. Customers were put into different cohorts based on the acquisition months, based on the months they were acquired by the business. So we have up to 24 cohorts here. So each month represents a cohort, right? Each month represents a cohort. So, month December of 2009, customers were acquired in this month. So, the customers acquired in this month, these are their the retention rates, after the number of months that have passed. So this y-axis shows us the number of months since acquisition, right? Number of months after acquisition. This is the acquisition month. These are the number of months after acquisition. So the darker the circle, the higher the retention rate, right? So we see a retention rate of 49% after 11 months of retention, which is remarkable. And then here we have 40% after 23 months, but the 24th month after acquisition in this cohort, we saw a decline of 19.7%. So we could use this to track customers that were acquired in certain months, not just quarterly but monthly. And then here we see the customer spread across the customer base. We see that the top 20% of our customers are generating 14 million pounds, as against 4 million pounds by the remaining 80%. The revenue share by customer segment: new customers brought in 2 million pounds, while repeat customer brought in 15 million pounds. And then The top selling products, that is top revenue generating products, are these products: Regency cake stand, the white hanging hearts, which some of them are actually Christmas themed or party themed products. So these are our top revenue generating products. We could see more on product affinity, that is the market basket analysis, where you see that the darker the box, right, the higher the the higher they pair each other, like the more they pair with each other, right? So we see which product goes frequent, which products are frequently bought with each other, and we see that these two products are bought with each other most times. The this is this is not, they are bought with each other, but they are not, the lift is not strong. That is, the probability of that happening is low compared to this. That's why this is darker, followed by these, and then these are lighter. So this shows, this is like a guideline for for that. And then for after product affinity, we would look at the top 20% of customers, you know, their buying pattern, their buying trend compared to average overall buying trend in this business. You see that the top customers, are buying more compared to the average overall buying trend. Then the revenue contribution by country, UK is contributing substantially more than every other country. You can click here to see the average order value by countries, all of the countries actually. So Netherlands is on top, followed by Singapore, Australia, and so on. And the United Kingdom is somewhere down here. Somewhere down, United Kingdom is here, even though they have the highest revenue share. They are low on average order value. So we've seen how where the business is, right, in product, customer, and revenue. So let's see the risk this business is facing. The biggest risk the business is facing is customer churn and the impact it has on the revenue. So we see that we have 2,899 churn customers. The revenue they generate, and this is what we potentially be losing if we don't retain these customers, is 3.9 million. The VIP customers within the churn group is 808, and the percentage of churn customers in the whole of the customer count is 49%. And the VIP percentage of customers in the churn among churn customers is 27.9. And then the revenue they bring as the VIP churn customers, the revenue they bring is 75%. Not surprising because we've already established that few customers control the majority of the revenue. And then the revenue from the VIP customers is 2.4 million pounds as against 3.2 million pounds. So we see here that we see the strategic segments. We see strategic segment of our customers who are at risk: high risk, low risk, and medium risk. We have just one customer under medium risk. For low risk, we have 98 high customers, 89 VIP customers. For high risk, which should be our focus, we have 267 customers, 267 VIP customers, 872 medium customers, and 1,121 low value customers. And then high value customers are 639. And then the average lifetime value of these customers, that's the values segment, is are all of these. So VIP and VIP in the high risk and VIP in the low risk has higher average lifetime value. This one customer actually has a high lifetime value. So the top 20 customers are split into churned versus active. We see the number of active top 20% of customers and churned, and 190 of these customers are churned, which is alarming because imagine losing 190 top customers. That is actually alarming. And then revenue share, top 20% active versus churned. We see that the churn bring in just 1 million and the active are bringing in 12 million pounds. The churn trend over time shows that in 2010, especially the first half of 2010, the churn rate went high. This business lost customers in the first half of 2010. The second half of 2010, it dropped a little bit, but in 2011 there was a significant drop. Whatever was done to retain customers in this period should be looked into, and they should it should be re-emphasized. It should be re-implemented, and even more modification should be carried out on the strategies to ensure improvement in retention. And then the countries with the highest customer churn are is the United States, followed by Germany, France, Spain, and so on. So I've been able to highlight the risk using this dashboard and the impact it has on revenue. When these customers are lost, we are losing 3 million pounds. And then you could filter this dashboard by the year. You could either type in a particular month or you just click. If you want to see the churn analysis and the impact it had on excuse me and the impact it had on revenue, you simply click on this. Any month of your choice. All of the months within this data set are highlighted here. So we see that in the month of February, the VIP churned brought 126,000 pounds, and 173 VIP customers were at risk of churn, and so on. So moving on to resolution, we've been able to see where this business is at, the risk it is facing, and based on the perceived risk, resolution or recommendations to stop or reduce the impact of the risk that this business is facing. So the number of urgent action, because um, the action priority was was divided into different segments. Urgent actions are the customers that have, you know, they need to be you need to pay attention, attention to them, or take urgent action so that they are retained. These are the customers that are that have a higher risk of leaving the business. So urgent action needs to be taken. So the number of urgent actions are 2,892. The predicted revenue, as I discussed earlier on, that is the customer lifetime value. The predicted customer lifetime value, which simply translates to the predicted overall revenue, is 21 million. So this looks good compared to the last 2 years, which brought in 18 million. So if these customers are retained and they, bring in the predicted revenue, this is what they are bringing. This is what the overall uh, revenue after 2 years would look like. And then this is the recoverable revenue from the urgent customers that fall under urgent action. So if these customers are not retained, if the business doesn't swing into action to retain or protect these customers, this is what they'll be losing, right? They'll be losing 800k pounds. So this scatter plot shows the customer lifetime value, the customer the current revenue the customer is bringing in or has brought to the business, and the predicted revenue that the customer is bringing. And we see that yes, these customers actually have, like, they have potentials, right? These customers that are not doing well currently, they have potentials to bring in a lot. So these customers need to be identified. A data for this have been provided. It's in the folder for the revenue operations and marketing team to look into. So you see that this customer, the current revenue is 12,000 pounds, and the predicted revenue this customer to bring in the next 2 years is 239,000 pounds. You see, this customer is valuable. This customer should be um, targeted and retained. So customers that fall under this area should be looked into. These customers are customers that are already doing well. It shows that they'll continue doing well based on the prediction. Same for these customers. And if we want to see the churned customers, we see that some of the churn customer, they fall below average. Some would do well, not necessarily well, but they will just maintain their buying pattern or the revenue they're bringing. Most of the churn customers are not predicted to bring in a lot, and some fall under or they fall below average. So, and if we want to see active only, we can just click on this and see all of that. And then uh, this is the predicted revenue that um, each segment will bring in. That is, each strategic segment will bring in based on the customer value. So we see that the no risk customers are bringing in a lot of revenue. So these are to be retained and maintained, followed by the low risk, and then the high risk and medium risk. And then these are the list of top future customers and their predicted revenue. Excuse me. So you could filter the number of customers. If you want to see 20 of them, could do that to see how much they are bringing in, to be able to place a certain kind of value on them. And this is the action priority for churned customers. And with these customers, a large number of the churned customers need urgent action. And then just 7 needs personal outreach, 3 needs to be monitored, and 1 to be nurtured. So thank you for watching to the end. Thank you for watching my presentation. And it was lovely creating this project from scratch, from the beginning to the end. It taught me a lot, and it also helped me inform this business on where they're at, the risk they're facing, and the potential solutions for the problems that they're encountering. So once again, thank you. I hope you this presentation was profitable to you. And if you want to see my LinkedIn profile, you can click here. If you want to see my portfolio, you click here. If you want to see the full report we explored initially, you click here. And if you want to see all of the data that is available for the marketing and RevOps team, you click here. So thank you so much once again for watching. See you in another project. Bye.